Jack, a central theme is the critical number. How was that developed and how important has that been to SRC over the years?
Well, the critical number came about almost virtually in the first day of business when we had this monumental debt to equity ratio. And the debt to equity ratio was 89 to 1, or we owed 8.9 million to the bank at an interest rate of 18%, which meant that we had a interest payment monthly of about $105,000 a month, which was very substantial for a kid at 30 years old that was only paying $200 a month in a mortgage payment, all right? So we knew that the success factor of the company was that we had to get that number down as quickly as we possibly can. And the faster we got it down also provided the leverage on how worse it could get. You know, we needed to get some space. And so when we went out to everybody and said, look, this is kind of a no-brainer. At 89 to 1, okay, we cannot create a variable compensation program. But for every dollar that we can reduce that debt, we save 18 cents interest. And we can take a percentage of that and we can put it into the compensation pool. All right. And so it was kind of, and I love things where, you know, they're like multi-dimensional. I love getting a two for one, right? So we're going to put a variable compensation program together, and we're going to get the debt reduced, but we're going to save money in the interest expense, so the net income is going to be higher. All right, so you can see the power of a multiplier. So we also then went out there and began to teach people how they made a difference on the critical number. All right, and I went a little bit overboard. All right, I mean I was really young and I was inexperienced, and I would run around yelling, debt to equity, job security, debt to equity, job security. Okay, you know, this is really what we got to do. This is how we're going to measure whether you should buy a car, whether you should have a kid. Okay, and I was a little crazy at the very beginning. All right, everybody really can make a difference in this number. I was blown away. I could take receivables, you know, in terms of or sales and receivables, payables from the suppliers, reducing inventories. I mean, it was fabulous, okay, having that critical number, because there was nobody who can sit there and say, what do I have responsibility to debt to equity for, you know? And that was the biggest problem that we had with prior variable compensation programs I had been in, okay, is that a commissioned salesperson had nothing to do with, you know, maybe somebody on the shop floor, you know? And what I wanted to do was have a critical number that affected the company, which we could have an impact on by providing goods and services, right? But I all wanted us to come together. I wanted us to all play together on the same song sheet, the same team. So we ran debt to equity, and it was outrageously successful. By the 6th month, we had dropped inventories by $2 million. So now we're down to 69 to 1. People are getting bonuses. People are having forklift truck parades. Everybody thinks, you know, that the peasants of the village are throwing flowers to everybody. Okay. And I'll never forget this. I'm walking the shop floor, and the janitor comes up to me. And he goes, debt to equity, job security, debt to equity, job security. He said, you're so full of it, you stink. I said, Dave, what's your problem? He said, Jack, he said, I looked at your balance sheet the other day, and he said, 76% of your receivables in the truck market, and the truck market has a recession every 6 years. So it really doesn't matter how well we get our balance sheet in line. He says that if next recession we hit, you're going to lay us off anyways. And he kept pushing his broom. I went, oh. So like a giant of industry, I went running back to my organization. I called my staff together and I said, do you know that 76% of our receivables are in the truck market? The truck market has everything. And it was at that moment I began to realize that the more we taught them, the more they taught us. Okay? And I also began to realize is that we will have to change every year. We will have a different critical number every year. The janitor taught me the fact that we had to have, you know, and we had to be ready to be able to impact change. And so what do you think the goal was the second year? We hit the maximum bonus on the debt to equity. Well, the next year was diversification. The next year was, man, we gotta concentrate on diversification. So our critical number then became diversification, because, you know, everybody wants a crystal ball, and I ask the crystal ball, how is my business going to be? Well, you got one in your financial statements. You got to have the courage to listen to those ratios. When that janitor told me I was 76% in one marketplace, okay, boy, is that a message? Do you have to have the courage to fix that? So we use the critical number, all right, that, you know, is the weakest link in the company, to have the courage to fix it